Imagine finding out your neighbors are planning a massive construction project on your property, except they forgot one tiny detail: asking you first. That's basically what's happening in British Columbia right now, and Premier David Eby is not happy about it. Welcome to the latest edition of Interprovincial Drama, where secret pipeline talks have turned into a full-blown political situation that nobody saw coming. So here's the deal. Back in November 2025, Eby sat down for an interview and revealed something wild. Saskatchewan Premier Scott Moe, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith, and Ottawa were apparently having conversations about building a new oil pipeline to BC's north coast. The catch? Nobody told British Columbia. You know, the province where this pipeline would actually go. Eby said he almost fell out of his seat when he heard Moe mention being part of these discussions about what happens in British Columbia, completely without BC's knowledge. According to a senior government official, the federal and Alberta governments were close to signing a memorandum of understanding on this new pipeline, which would allow some tanker traffic on northern BC's coast. Now, there's currently a federally imposed ban that prohibits oil tankers from carrying more than 12,500 metric tons of crude oil or persistent oil products as cargo in that area. This proposed plan would create exemptions to that ban, which is where things get complicated. Here's why Eby's concerned, and it's actually pretty strategic thinking. British Columbia has 4 times more major projects on the board than any other province in Canada right now. That's a massive economic engine. But here's the thing. The vast majority of those projects rely on support from coastal First Nations. And for many of those communities, the oil tanker ban is the sole reason they're willing to support other major developments in their territories. Eby described it as a fragile consensus that took years to build. His point? Carving out exemptions to the tanker ban is like explaining to a vegetarian they'll still be vegetarian if they eat a few steaks. The logic just doesn't track. Eby went further, questioning the practical reality of this pipeline plan. He pointed out that it hasn't secured a proponent, funding, or environmental assessment approval. In his view, it's not grounded in the realities of actually building major infrastructure in British Columbia. He compared Moe and Smith's involvement to tourists wearing sandals wandering into the woods on Vancouver's North Shore saying they know where they're going. The message was clear. Understanding BC's terrain, both literal and political, requires more than good intentions. The timing of these discussions makes the situation even more sensitive. The Heiltsuk Nation along the Central Coast is currently responding to a freight barge stacked with shipping containers that's taking on water. They've said the possibility of an exemption to the tanker ban could not come at a worse time, and that a ban isn't really a ban if it includes exceptions. The community has direct experience with marine emergencies, including the sinking of the tugboat Nathan E. Stewart west of Bella Bella in October 2016, which caused a major oil spill and remains one of the most notable marine incidents in the area. Now, BC's official opposition has a completely different take on this. Conservative leader John Rustad said his party has been talking with Alberta Premier Danielle Smith about her pipeline plans, and he sees it as a problem that Eby wasn't included in those conversations. Rustad suggested that Eby's not at the table because he's got his head in the sand. His perspective focuses on national coordination, arguing that premiers should work together with the federal government to build the nation. He supports Alberta's goals of getting its oil to markets beyond the United States to get full value for the resource, and he believes there are benefits for every province, not just Alberta. Rustad also pushed back on Eby's concerns about First Nation support, saying he's talked to communities interested in participating in economic reconciliation. He characterized Eby's position as creating unnecessary worry rather than focusing on potential opportunities. The Conservative leader hasn't been involved in the proposed Memorandum of Understanding himself, but he's made his support for the general concept pretty clear. Meanwhile, Eby says British Columbia is focused on a different strategy: increasing oil capacity of the existing Trans Mountain Pipeline, which is owned by taxpayers. The $34 billion Trans Mountain expansion project started transporting oil from Edmonton to the Vancouver area back in May 2024 and is currently operating at about 80 to 85% of its capacity. From BC's perspective, there's room to expand existing infrastructure before considering new projects that could reshape coastal relationships. So what we're looking at here is a fundamental disagreement about process, provincial jurisdiction, and economic strategy. Should major infrastructure decisions affecting British Columbia be made with full BC participation from the start, or should premiers coordinate on national energy plans even when it involves another province's territory? It's the kind of question that doesn't have an easy answer, but it's definitely shaping up to be a significant issue as Canada figures out its energy future. What's your take? Should BC have been at the table from day one, or is interprovincial coordination on energy more important than individual provincial concerns? Drop your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to stay on top of all the Canadian political developments as they happen, subscribe to Canadian Truth. We're breaking down multiple stories every single day so you never miss what matters. Catch you in the next one.